Well, we're coming up to a full year of owning this Dethleffs Just 90, we call Just William. And of course, we've had a service. Actually, it's the second service. So after the fiasco that was us picking it up and finding out that it might be damp and all the rest of it, I didn't trust the dealers at all, so we booked it into Reliance in Chichester for a full service and a hab check and all the rest of it. Anyway, so that was all done, and it's, you know, it's all fine. So no real issues with the van. A few little bits and pieces that we've had to get fixed up. Things like the cable gland for the solar panel coming away, so I've resealed that. Slightly elevated damp in the garage, but nothing too much. And I've chatted to Reliance CMS about what it might cost. Replace the garage floor wouldn't be that much, £500 or £600. And the other thing was, if it was still under a Dethleffs warranty, which it isn't, because the underbody seal wasn't done after the first year. We could have had the garage doors replaced, but you know, when you talk to the technicians, the people that know about all the dampness and stuff, they said, well, the doors are made of plastic almost completely, so it's rare for a door to actually fail. So he said, it's probably not going to be a problem at all. So we decided, after all said and done, that we just live with it, because it's not really a problem. The garage doesn't get so much damp now, so it's a lot of condensation when we first got it last winter, but that's sort of not happening now for some reason. Maybe it's because we're in it and it's just generally warmer. So service done, and that was I hadn't, because we'd done so many miles, a couple of thousand miles up to Sweden and back, and I just want to keep it in top form, as it were. So I've had minor service, so essentially an oil change and a bit of a check over. So that's done. I didn't need the MOT because we had that done a couple of weeks ago as an emergency, but we'll be moving the MOT to June to get it away from, you know, match it in with the annual service, which we'll be having done in June. Get the MOT done next year. Of course, it'll be 5 years old, so there'll be a cam belt change. I'm going to have that done in June as well. Not due till November, but you don't want to push those too far. You know, 5 years is the cut-off point. You have it changed at 5 years. So due in October. So I'm going to have it done in June, along with the service and the MOT, all done at the same time. And I am having the water pump changed at the same time. I think the water pump ought to last at least 10 years, but while they're there, they've got they're right there. There's a couple of bolts and another 120 quid for the water pump, I think, to replace it. So I'm having that done, just to be safe. There were two other reasons that we put the van in for. So it was the service and the MOT, but you know, that was done earlier. And we're having a Maxx Air fan fitted over the bed, which I'll show you that in a minute. And obviously the cab aircon, it's all important. I mean, that's really why we booked it in, and we thought, well, we'll have a service and a fan fitted at the same time, you know, while it's in. So they had the van for 2 days. Now I'm going to talk about the aircon, the cab aircon at the moment, because we know earlier this year we'd been on a bit of a journey, and we pulled up at the entrance to the campsite we were staying at. It was one of those Haven holiday park things that we got cheap. We got a week for £55 through the Motor Caravanners Club, the MCC. They do special deals. Anyway, we got one of those. We pulled up at that, and the gas just vented out the front of the van. Sort of slightly panic station, what's going on. So initially, I'd called a mobile regassing service out to see what was, if he could repair it and regas it. He said, you probably got a stone chip in the condenser, which is that radiator thing right at the right. If you look through the front grille, it's the silver radiator thing just right there. And apparently they're prone to getting stone chips while you're driving along, and then just venting the gas. And that seemed reasonable. Anyway, Reliance said, well, we need, we're not going to just buy a condenser and fit that and hope it regasses. So we'll need to spend a bit of time to analyse what it actually is. So we need the van for 2 days. So the van's been in for 2 days. We got a call yesterday, because we picked the van up yesterday, and they said, well, a bit of bad news. We can't fix the aircon. I said, well, it's a thing. You must be able to fix it. And they said, well, it's not the condenser. So that's ruled out. It's one of the pipes. So it's the pipe that goes from the drive thing, from the pump, right round the back of the engine, and back around to the condenser at the front. It's that split, and it's on back order from Fiat. It's on back order. And it turns out, when we went to pick it up, we had a long conversation with them. It turns out that apparently it's a bit of a thing on Fiats that these pipes go. I think they've probably had a bad batch, maybe. It just one of those things. So that's that. So we've got that pipe on back order, and they think they've booked us in provisionally for December, first week of December, if it arrives. So we don't know, and we're hoping to get the cab aircon fixed before we go to the sunshine in Spain, because that's important, isn't it? Having a bit of aircon when you're in the hot weather, when you're driving around. No, we didn't have it when we went to Germany, when we were travelling up to Sweden, and when we were travelling back. 2 heat waves during our travel period of 34 degrees, when we had no cab aircon, and we had to travel. We had to set off travelling at 3 a.m. so that it would still be cool. We'd get to the next campsite, settle down before the heat came. So that's the story of the aircon. But we thought, with all this trouble, with all the aircon, and we thought, well, a lot of people have said having a Maxx fan helps a lot with air circulation, extraction, bringing cold air in, whatever. So we thought, well, that seems like a good idea. And I think they're about 300 quid plus fitting. I looked at those, and I went for the Maxx Air 7500K with the remote control. So I thought, well, if you've got to reach up, it's up on this, you've got to climb on the bed, and then, and you might want to put it on when we're sitting in the lounge. So having a remote control would be really great. So that was that. So they fitted the Maxx Air fan, which means I've got a spare 400 square Hecky roof light. Let's have a look at the Maxx Air fan and see how that all works and what the differences are. The Hecky roof light is sort of like this, with the pleated blinds and the and the fly screen on the other side, and it sort of opens, you know, so it opens from there and does that sort of thing. But let me show you the difference with the Maxx Air fan. Similar, it's got a sort of bug screen, and it's got a blackout blind, which is quite nice. That was extra, by the way. This the fly screen, the blackout blind was extra, and you can open it up manually on a little switch there if you want to do that, and you can operate it from these switches here. But essentially that's the fan. I didn't realise that you would still be able to see out and it would let light in, but quite a neat little unit. Has a remote control that switches it on, and you can see on there that it's currently closed, and you can sort of push, if I can make it work. Yep. So when you push the open button, this one at the bottom, it comes on and starts the fan to spin at whatever that's set on, which is 10%. Got a nice little breeze blowing, but then you can switch the air from in to out. So that's air out, and then you can switch that around to air in, and the fan just runs the other way. But yeah, so when you switch it, and it just stops and closes. That's it. So there we are. That's the that's the Maxx Air fan. Pretty simple. Remote control, switch it on, switch it off, air in, air out, or, you know, just it's quite a nice little addition. And actually, when you're outside the van, you can't actually see it from the side. So it's a really low profile. When it opens, it does go up a bit, just like the Hacky roof lights do. But we're actually on a little CL site at the moment, and we're going to be here for a couple of weeks because we've got to make sure that Pippin's new medication is all working correctly. So she's got to have another blood test on next Monday. So she's not reacted badly to the new medication, which could have been a problem. You know, some dogs are, you know, they react badly and they have, like, you know, sickness, diarrhea, lethargy, all sorts of nonsense. But she's, you know, she just seems fine with it, and you know, she's pretty happy. You know, she's all right. So hopefully that's making her a bit better. But once we've confirmed all the medication and got that settled, we're going to start her on some fish oil, which we've seen in a pet shop called Pet's Corner. And it's the Norwegian salmon oil, which seems to be the best. It's quite expensive. It's about £20 a litre. Yeah, about £22 a litre, I think it is. But that litre would last easily over a year, because she'd only have like half a teaspoon, like about 3 ml per day in her food. So, you know, and that would ease her joints and, you know, make her a bit more comfortable. We hope. If it does, I think we're probably going to buy a small bottle of that first and see how that goes, and then you know, if she does well on it, then, you know. But obviously, you don't want to overdose on that stuff, because that, you know, that can cause that can have the opposite effect. You know, put stress on heart, kidney, liver, cause blood issues and all sorts of things. So you need to be careful with this stuff, don't you? But anyway, that's all the news for this week, and I think we're feeling pretty happy as travellers at the moment. It's all going very well. You know, the van is just suiting us right down to the ground. It's great. One little issue today is that we've parked up on the campsite. I tried to move forward a little bit to get on some firmer ground. It's all grass. I couldn't move. so we're here. But luckily, we're all level, so it's all good. But we've got to drive out on Monday, and that's in about 3 or 4 days' time. So I'll have to get the little helpers out to put under the wheels, and hopefully it doesn't rain again, and we can make sure we can get out. So other than that, if we can't get out on Monday, we'll probably go and get the train from where we are in Lancing to Arundel, which would cost a fortune. It's about 20 quid, I think, something like that. 20 quid return each to go to do that, and not that convenient. But there you are. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed that. Nice little update for you. Van's all serviced, everything's good, and we're having to delay our plans a little for Spain because of the aircon delay. So we don't know whether we'll be setting off when we planned, but we're still heading for that, and we'll take you along with us. Hope you enjoyed the ride along. Anyway, we'll see you again next time. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget, if you really like this, press the thumbs up and do subscribe. See you then. Bye bye.